to address concerns about labor progress and the possibility of a stalled labor. Understanding that I might not want something, how would a midwife manage labor progression to help alleviate anxiety and move labor along? It's a great question. So many levels to this question. Let's see if we can unpack it. So labor progress is not linear, right? We have this concept in midwifery, learned from medicine, that we should have nice, steady progress, that there should be thresholds in labor that are clearly definable and measurable. And I'm sorry to say that's just not true. Labor is as circularly, I don't know the word, spirally, circularly. It's not a straight line. We, as in midwifery and in birth, it is labyrinthine, right? We take many different spiral backs on the process. So it very rarely starts and completes in a circuitous, thank you, Kiva, that's the word I was looking for. It very rarely completes in a very distinct process. Instead, labor progress is more of a decision or an awareness that we make from a vantage point. We can't necessarily measure the progress, but we can see the progress once it's passed. And this requires a tremendous amount of focus for the midwife. We have to be focused on this moment and what this person needs, but we also have to be seeing the distance and able to see progress as it unfolds. So the best way to do that is to have regular intervals to check in. And most midwives use the 4-hour interval. They're checking in every 4 hours and writing a SOAP note. And that is both for the complexity and the completeness of the chart, but it's also for their own perspective and their colleagues' perspective to be able to see when progress occurs and also interrupt or assist when progress is not occurring. The best way to support progress in labor is to not interfere unnecessarily. So that famous Kitty Ernst quote, one of the founders of midwifery in the United States, at least in the CNN path, is no intervention in the absence of complication. And so it's really all of our job to not interfere, to not get our hands where they're not supposed to be, and to support folks having circuitous labyrinthine paths in labor, where sometimes it feels really strong and then sometimes it's real mellow, and then it's strong and then it's mellow. And that kind of give and take is an important part of labor. It should not be a wall of pain like we see with oxytocin inductions. It's actually not normal. In the same way that the seasons come and go and our breath rises and falls, labor moves the same way. In fact, all contractions are created from the oxytocin hormone, which is secreted from the pituitary, and it's secreted in a pulsatile fashion. So it's secreted and it causes a rise and then it goes away and the receptor sites release and then it happens again. And this rise and fall, like the synovial fluid, like the spinal fluid with our circadian rhythms, with the day and the night. I mean, this is nature. So we need to surrender any ideas that it will be a process that could be clearly measured and judged in the moment. In hindsight, with perspective, when you step back, you are able to see the process unfold. And in fact, if you've attended births, you know this happens even in the birth itself. The baby gets pushed down and then retreats, and then the baby gets pushed down and retreats. And this is the way birth works. So progress is a tricky thing, first of all, and it takes a lot of understanding and experience to be able to have the patience and the perspective to support that process compared to our current modern obstetrical pathway. So the second part of this question is, how do you alleviate anxiety and ensure the progress? Well, we can't ensure the progress, that's true. But what we can do is we can focus on the ways that raise the hormone oxytocin and decrease the hormone adrenaline. So adrenaline, that fight, flight, or freeze or fawn hormone, those 4F responses when adrenaline or cortisol is present, it neutralizes oxytocin, which is just a brilliant natural evolutionary process. Go back to the ancient humans. If you even thought you saw a tiger in the wilderness, of course your labor would stop till you could get somewhere safe to birth. So that normal evolution still exists in our modern humans, and adrenaline is the antidote to oxytocin. So everything that we can do to reduce adrenaline and increase oxytocin will help create a normal birth, alleviate anxiety, and help with progress. So one of the best ways, of course, is to have the environment that a mammal would seek to give birth. So we think about, because we are mammals, of course, so we think about, where does your cat give birth? In the dark, under the house, without any predators, not being disturbed. We think about, wild animals going off into the wilderness, leaving their tribe to actually birth solo, undisturbed. And that doesn't mean you need to birth solo. You can certainly choose who you want to go with you, but low light, the touch of kind people that you know, not strangers, water, a little bit of energy from food, and time, lots of undisturbed time. That's what makes labor work best.